With that in mind, I'll share a few slides. I'm not going to do too many of those, but just a bit of scene setting. And maybe as we talk about some key concepts, I'll refer back to these. As I just said, we want to go deeper today into ways that you can, configure things, customize, so on beyond what you've already seen in the dashboard. And there are two key tools that are involved that you've, well, at least when you've already got installed, and they are Extraction Builder, which is a Visual Studio add-in. So you typically install Visual Studio 2019 is fine, and then this is just a VSIX file which you add in there, as you've probably already done. The beauty of being in the Visual Studio environment is that you've got, probably you're already familiar, at least to some extent, with Visual Studio. So you've got a full sort of project environment. And if you build out more complex scenarios where there's lots of, configurations and files, then you've got the benefit of all of that infrastructure, if you like, and source control and all the good things that Visual Studio provides as a framework. But really, none of it requires coding at this level. I mean, obviously there is things we'll look at in the third session about integration. But really, the fact that it's in Visual Studio doesn't mean we're going to need to all be writing any code. It's just a good framework for a powerful configuration development tool, basically. Document Studio, which we talked about, is also key. It has two main functions. One is it's the primary way that you can interactively work with the classification engine, both for configuring and testing. It's also a really good way to do initial offline testing of the extractors that you build in that Visual Studio tool to get, again, visual feedback prior to deploying them into the cloud service. But everything we're going to do today and look at, again, is, we're looking at, these offline tools, and we'll show this and look at this, but anything you're building essentially creates some configuration files, which ultimately can be deployed to the cloud service, uploaded essentially for, integration testing, in other words, working in the real environment, or obviously ultimately for production use, whatever form that may take. So, quick outline of the two key areas. We'll certainly look at classification, and with Document Studio, the ability to train interactively. Some of the more powerful functions of actually being able to sort of work with even completely unlabeled brand new sets of documents and do a level of discovery on those documents, finding what document types are appropriate, those kind of things. And then how to ultimately deploy that. And certainly, if time allows, I can touch on a few of the more advanced things, ways that classifiers can be tuned, some of the parameters available, and the ways that you can actually analyze in detail the statistics of how well the classification engine is performing. So I probably won't do any much on that, but at least show you what's possible, so that you've got something that we could come back to if you're involved in a project which merited that level of analysis. On the extraction side, I'll pick up and use the tutorial example at least as a jumping off point for some of the key concepts for what it means to do some searches and put results into fields. Talk about proximity rules, hopefully specifically answer your question of where you got stuck, Wilson. We can look at that. Look a little bit at tables, again, how to deploy these, and then some of the more advanced things, which include the concepts of areas and area constraints, evaluators as ways of chaining together different bits of logic or choosing between multiple results when that's the case, and also the ability to match against database, sort of a fuzzy match against data held in a table or a database.